What is up, everyone, and welcome to today's video. We're going to quickly go over the League launch as well as the patch that they just came out with that are addressing a lot of the community's concerns with the game currently. Luckily, the devs were really open about some of the mishaps of what things went wrong with the League, and ultimately, I think they just kind of boiled down to them wanting to do too many changes in not enough time, which is kind of why I think that the initial patch just had an absurd number of nerfs and absolutely no buffs anywhere, which luckily they're letting us know with some of these dev posts that, hey, buffs are coming, a lot of changes are coming, just give us a couple of days so that way we can slowly implement them. Just about every single day last week, they kind of gave us a little post and was like, hey, this is what we worked on today. This is what's coming in the next patch, which is awesome. We already kind of know that this patch already went in with like the first 2 days of the league launch. All the monster mobs HPs went down during the campaign, which was really nice. Definitely helped out people that were struggling in the campaign. Great choice and great thing to do. The next thing that they kind of went over was the hunter specific changes and their concerns, and I kind of agree with them a little bit with kind of what they were talking about. The whole idea of the Huntress was going in and out of melee to ranged, and if you choose not to do that, if you choose not to play the character the way that it is designed, sure, you shouldn't be handicapped a whole bunch, but you're willingly handicapping yourself. If you're choosing not to use the mechanics, that's just kind of on you. So, I mean, with if you don't want to use the parry to get your frenzy buffs, your frenzy charges to buff your skills, that's just on you, my guy. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. But the good news is, if for anyone that doesn't want to do that, at least for the leveling, once you get into the end game, it's completely trivial. You won't need to do it anyways because you're just gonna run a combat frenzy with whatever build that you're doing, and you're just going to have charge sustain anyways, or you're going to use hunter's mark, whatever you prefer. You're just going to have charges no matter what anyway, so it's a lot easier to sustain. But at least for anyone that's leveling or hasn't started a spear build or a huntress, luckily you're getting a new skill that will just basically be the killing palm from monk. It just lets you instantly kill and gives you a free power charge, so you can just sit there and be ranged the entire time. They're also giving the lightning spear a big buff. Not a big buff, a small one. I don't know why they're doing this. It's literally the most popular build right now. I don't know if it would be considered broken, but it's really, really strong right now. You can screen clear uh, just as well as monks could last league, if not easier, because you just have to throw one thing and you don't have to use heralds to boost it. You just have to use one skill. So I would say the screen clear is a lot better than monks were from last season. I don't know if the single target DPS is as cracked. I believe it is because there's another spear skill that you can just prep. You can throw it on an orb of storms, and then as soon as the boss becomes damageable, you just insta kill it. Or if you don't, then you can just electrocute it, keep it stunned forever, and you can just keep spamming the ability and, and do whatever the fuck you want to the boss. It's not gonna matter. Additionally, they are buffing the minions, which is great. They admitted that they kind of shit the bed on this one, which was really nice to see. Uh, they were trying to target endgame. I understand why they were doing it. They just kind of missed the mark. They admitted it, and they've already told us some of the buffs that they're coming. They're just going to have a lot more HP and damage in the campaign, and that's just really nice to see. So fantastic for anyone that plays minions. They're going to be really happy because they're kind of suffering just like everybody else throughout the campaign, and additionally, they're finally addressing the campaign issues. Act 3 is terrible in terms of how long it takes to get through it. I don't understand why they were so combative about this. They said that they obviously needed more data. They needed people to tell them the exact things that were wrong with it. They just needed to, keep looking, have people keep playing it, and they're finally addressing it. short-term solution was just to add checkpoints, which fundamentally just did not do anything with the problem. Like, the problem was everything's too big, there's too many things going on. Even if I'm fighting the entire time, if I'm engaged, like, it doesn't matter because I'm still taking 3 times longer than it should to find all these things. And then there's some areas where if you want to do it efficiently, like, you have to find three, sometimes 2 or 3 different exits, grab the waypoint or do whatever you need to do in the next area and come back. Like, you don't want to just go off into the next area and start doing stuff because then you have to redo the entire zone. And the zones are so big, you do not want to do that. So you kind of have to find everything all at once. And even though it's kind of easy, you can just say that they're probably in the 3 corners of the map versus where you started. You still have to go out and find all of those things. And if you happen to miss one because you're not paying attention, then you just have to go back through the entire zone, and it's just super, super unfun. And thank God that they're finally addressing it. I'm not sure why they were so combative, but at least they're doing some size changes. They also admitted that in the Drowned City that there's literally a location that isn't even in the game yet, but they left everything leading up to that location. Like, I'm all for having more things to do in the Drowned City. It's a cool area. But if you're not gonna have something in the game, why would you leave the path that leads to it? If we had to wait until full release for this area to become unlocked, then why would you ever keep it in the game? I definitely have found it multiple times in both the past and the present, just because I am trying to find where the hell I need to go. I think I've learned the layouts a little bit better, so it doesn't happen. But obviously, the first 2 or 3 times I played the game, I would go and find it, and I'm just like, oh, this looks like it's something, but there's nothing here, and that's quite literally what it is. There's supposed to be something there eventually, but currently there isn't. But hey, guess what? They're removing it. They're also doing a whole bunch of other things. Um, I would just go to the blog post and look at all the specific changes. Basically, all of Act 3 is being changed to be smaller. Hopefully, it's more enjoyable. So that is a great W for this patch as well. Going on from there, we've got some actual buffs, which is fantastic to see, especially since there were none in the original patch. And again, like I said, I think this is just because they were trying to do too much. They didn't have enough time, so I think it was, it wasn't the most enjoyable thing because obviously they're going to get a ton of backlash. But I think at the end of the day, pushing a ton of nerfs and then slowly implementing all the buffs afterwards, I'm sure there's an argument for both ways. It sucks for the most part because you want these buffs while you're doing the campaign. Not having any of these buffs is why the campaign took us so long to do, especially when it's PoE2. It's already really long and slow, and now everyone feels like a warrior, and the warriors aren't the only ones crying because they're the slowest class now. Everybody was super slow, but at least for your additional characters, or future builds that you want to, if you already have a character that a build would work on, and you're just like, hey, I've done everything that I want to do with this build, let's switch it up. Now you got some more options. Going over the sorceress, the arc buff is really neat. I think it's awesome. It's definitely going to help out Archmage, since Archmage got absolutely gutted. This will just allow you to do a little bit more damage since you lost a whole bunch. It'll probably help out with the clear a little bit. You spam the I already forget what the spark. If you spam spark, get everything shocked, and then you just throw out an arc here and there to get some explosions and a little bit more clearing potential, which is kind of nice. It adds to their dynamic gameplay that they want. I just think it's a neat change. The Eye of Winter change is kind of interesting. I don't know how much it'll actually be implemented, but hey, it's there. It's a neat little change, new little combo. Exposure is getting a huge buff. Basically, all the exposures are getting duration quadrupled, which is fantastic. It makes everything feel a little bit better. You don't have to sit there and spam that one thing that gives you exposure every other second. You can use it, do a whole bunch of damage, use it, do a whole bunch of damage. Mana Tempest buff, I think this is fantastic considering the nerf that it got, because the nerf no longer allows you to keep those buffs when you leave the Mana Tempest. Sure, it still absolutely drains your mana like crazy, but I think this will allow a lot of different builds to work with Mana Tempest. Obviously, before it was just lightning skills, and now it's with everything. So, going off of that, the two Nyx buff, the Frostbolt and Ice Nova buffs, I think those will pair really, really well with Mana Tempest. I'm sure it's a little bit clunkier than in PoE 1, but the Frostbolt Ice Nova combo was super strong with Archmage. So I'm sure if you pair those things, even though with the Archmage nerfs, even if you don't go Archmage, this will just be really nice because you'll just have a bazillion Frostbolts going all over the place, and you can just clear the whole screen in half a second, probably. Other than that, I wish the Ignite Prolif was still a little bit better. 2 seconds down to 1 second is still kind of it should be as close to instant as possible. Having any delay in your Prolif just does not feel good. If you're expecting something to die because your ignites are spreading and they don't, it doesn't feel good. Energy Shield, the bleed interaction is finally fixed. So now if you're a bleed build, you don't have to sit there and just run away from a rare that has extra energy shield, because it takes you 10 years to fucking break it, since you don't get to use your bleed damage against it. Luckily for us as the player, even though we can be bled while we have energy shield now, you're just going to go CI anyways. Anytime you're a pure energy shield based character, you're just going to go CI because it's just absurdly strong at the moment. So, and with that, since they absolutely gutted our stun and ailment threshold for ES builds, since they are supposed to be based off of your life, all of the nodes that give you stun threshold also give you ailment threshold, so it's going to be a lot easier for those ES builds to just stay tankier in a nutshell. The Huntress buffs are kind of just like whatever, a couple quality of life things, nothing crazy. Warrior stuff, again, maybe it's something. I didn't play Warrior, but at least they kind of gave them a little buff this patch. And same thing with Ranger. I'm sure the Ranger needs something. They kind of gutted all of the late game Ranger builds, but I think the couple of Rangers that I've seen other content creators use, they're just doing crossbows anyway, because those got Giga buff, which is, it is what it is. But I'm sure they're doing fine anyways. New support gem for anything that uses charges. It no longer has to use a charge. So I'm sure things that would have used power charges, it's pretty easy to get like 9 power charges if you're on the monk side of the tree. I don't know how easy it is to get a whole bunch of endurance and frenzy charges. For the most part, I haven't looked into those because they haven't really been something I've been playing with, but I'm sure there's something where you can get a bunch of frenzy charges. I mean, the lightning spear tech is fantastic if you don't want to use your frenzy charges. No, you don't have to. I mean, it's just a nice support and quality of life change to have. Delirium changes, great. Crafting stuff to make campaign easier, fantastic. Monster speed, one of the biggest things that was killing people. It kills me all the time because I just get swarmed by 100 enemies. Things are slower. Things have less HP now. It's a huge win in terms of survivability and ease through the campaign, which is awesome to see. And I think that pretty much covers everything. Like the big things that are awesome to see. Obviously, there's some specifics on which monsters are being changed, which bosses are being changed a little bit. For the most part, they're all kind of just like whatever. They just fall under the scope of everything else. There is another minion change that I forgot to go over with all of the HP and damage buffs that they're getting. They are reworking the revive timer a little bit. According to them and the latest interview that they did with Ziz, which if you haven't seen, definitely go check it out. It's a good interview. Might be a little bit late because everything they went over in the interview, they're just basically doing in these patch notes. Um, Essentially, it felt really bad because you might be getting 80% of your minions to res because they have all died, and they're at 1 second, and then one more minion dies, and all of them have the same exact timer. They're all sharing it, so they all go back up to 7 seconds. It felt terrible. According to them, if it wasn't that way, it would feel even worse. I don't know if I believe that. They guaranteed that it would feel worse, and so they kind of kept it the way it was, but at least now they're kind of reworking it a little bit. Now you will remain if if you were at 1 second and another thing dies, it would just add to it. It wouldn't just reset the timer. So sure, the maximum reset is half a second longer, but it's based off of how many minions are dying and which kind of minions are dying. So that I'm sure it will feel a ton better. Um, but for the most part, I'm sure it'll feel a lot better. I don't play minion builds. If you play minion builds, though, you're gonna enjoy this a lot. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. They have some charm changes, which I think are pretty cool. Um, but I'm not sure how they're gonna fix it in the long run. More charms is always nice, especially since they basically work the same as Flask did in PoE1. That's kind of how they're changing them. It sucks that you can basically only ever have one charm at the moment because it's such a heavily contested stat on a belt. I would just much rather just have reses than an extra charm slot. So it felt really bad. It was actually one of the reasons why I was going to go ritualist was, hey, if the sacrifice aspect of the ascendancy felt bad, at least I get an extra charm slot, which I was basically just going to use it as my freeze and my poison immunity. Those are the only two things that I was going to be worried about, and now I just get them for free or a stun one, depending on if you're CI or not, as a ritualist, which maybe you would have done, maybe we don't. I'm sure ES is still just the go-to defensive layer as well as evasion. Just stack those two and you're basically unkillable, just like last league. Even though they're nerfed, just do it. I'm sure you're going to be tanky enough. And that pretty much covers it. So enjoy the patch. It's a huge win for us. And I believe over the next week or two, they're going to be doing even more buffs and nerfs. Not nerfs, just buffs. And hopefully some more quality of life changes. So always looking forward to that. As always, remember to blend it up and keep it smooth, guys. And I'll see you in the next video.